Okay, we're here. It's better I do it like this. Because I wasn't even live on one at a time, so it makes sense I use this one. Good night or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your brother Bolo VNR. I didn't get a chance to watch this thing in its entirety. I covered Mark Golding, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Dr. Vaz had a important contribution and a question. Wavelines as well. I know we are at Mr. Ian Hill, so it's interesting. The Speaker of the House was being or trying to appear as if she was fair and she was not a bully. And but Dr. Dayton Campbell had to put her in her place at one point. Very interesting. I had to let her know, listen, I only have one mother, you know, and you're not her, okay? So calm down. But let's hear this.
From St. Catherine Southwest, if persons abide by the ruling, no matter what, the system would work. Because the ruling was that members turn on their mic when they are observed by the speaker in keeping with the standing orders. However,
so look at her trying to speak nice. And yo, this lady is something else, man. Also because the overseas media is there. Look at her. Oh wow. Look at this. Trying to defend this mic system. The mic system is trash, you know?
members have chosen to turn on their mics, and once it goes off, you're at the back of the line. So persons complain about meeting the speaker's eye. Hopefully, over a little time, we will get there. We'll get there.
No, I realize why Andrew was being so nice to Mark Golding. Because the mainstream media from around the world was there. Because of the crisis they were sitting in. Oh no, I get it. Andrew wanted to make sure that he did not behave in a manner that was himself. Same thing with Juliet. Oh, so it was a grandstanding for the mainstream media. That's what it was.
So
I didn't even realize.
I've turned on the mic. I'm not singing.
Somebody said throw away the mic. The mic system in this was exposed because people had to go over to other person's desk just to speak and ask a question. It was just absolute chaos. Not as well. I think they were trying to mimic Hurricane Melissa in the Parliament on Tuesday.
Okay, the member from St. Catherine South, you'll have to go through the rounds. No. Unless all persons would like to turn off their mics, or maybe the member would like to go and speak speak other than your own, and then swap back with the member.
Good morning, like up the live, guys.
Yeah, this is
Good morning, like up the live, guys. More the advertisement company or something.
Before, in a question, when you speak about the fair trade,
I didn't get
speak other than your own, and then swap back with the member.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Prime Minister, as I was saying before, in a question, when you speak about the Fair Trade Commission,
remember your volume is low, so you may want to push the mic.
The price of fuel has doubled. The price of food has doubled. The price of building material doubled. Taxi and bus fare have doubled also. I want you to give me an answer to how the government going to work within Westmoreland, Western or the parish of Westmoreland, in stopping some of the abuses which are taking place with our citizens. That's number one. Number two is when you speak to the assessment that will be done. Prime Minister, I want to ask a question. It's hard when you go to a citizen home and the citizen basically is without a roof. I think, and this is just a suggestion, Prime Minister, if we could more or less hire 100 persons in every constituency to go out and start doing the assessment, because it's hard to tell a man who is without a roof that he's going to have to wait until we clear all the roads, until we put all the mechanism in place to ensure synergy and all of that good stuff.
Oh my God.
So I'm recommending to you, Prime Minister, asking you, would it be possible for every constituency that is affected, for the Ministry of Labour, whoever it is, for us to get some temporary labor to go around and do this assessment? That's two. Three is the shelters. And I speak about the shelter in Townhead and other shelters. There's no bed. There's no food. Persons are sleeping on the concrete. And I'm just wondering if we could pay some more attention to Westmoreland. I don't want to say everything here because the international press is here, and you don't hear everything out to the public. But Prime Minister, I'm willing to have a conversation in terms of where we go from here, in terms of how do we help our people.
You know, I don't know if I'm okay with them not speaking about everything, because the media is there from overseas. The media can just watch the parliament, you know. This is the people's business. I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know if that, I don't know if I agree with that in a PMP. I really don't know if I agree with that. That really kind of rubs me the wrong way. We need to know what's going on. You know, we need to know what's going on. I don't want it to appear as if the PMP is out here hiding things from the people of Jamaica and the world about the realities that is happening with the country, all in the effort of not looking too bad. You know, I think we are beyond that right now. You know, Westmoreland was ground zero. The realities is all over the media, all over the world already. Unless you guys, the government wanted to, I don't know, block out the media from coming into Jamaica, that would be an option, but that option should have been used from the first landfall, you know. I mean, damn, the media was here days before the storm actually hit Jamaica. They were here. So that in itself would have been slightly impossible. You know, they were already here. They were in hotels or wherever they were, you know, wherever they were staying, they were camped out and they were waiting for the aftermath of this hurricane. So I'm not sure if I'm okay or I'm in agreement with the People's National Party or Ian Hills. Maybe it's just him, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm not going to air out everything. I don't think I should have said that. It makes me get a little edgy, to be honest with you. I'm very uncomfortable with that. As a citizen of the country, that it unsettles me to hear that from any of the members of the People's National Party. Let's continue.
In terms of when you speak to tourism, we have thousands of workers now that are without a job in the tourism sector. The leader of the opposition mentioned some level of compensation for tourism workers. But a couple of weeks ago, the Minister of Tourism came here and he said that under the IDB, there was $1 billion for small hotels to refurbish. And And I want to ask the Prime Minister, could a part of that $1 billion be used for grant funding in terms of ensuring that the hotels in the constituency, the workers within the constituency, something can be worked out where between the workers and the hotel, the tourism sector, both work hand in hand in ensuring that we can get up running pretty soon. Prime Minister, the level of devastation / destruction that is in Westmoreland. I heard Member Vaz speak to just the level of trust in terms of the members of parliament and the government. I want to work with the government in ensuring that we help all citizens. And it's very important. And it's very important from the side of the government also that you do everything in your powers to ensure that there's a level of fairness and there's a level of honesty in working with the members of parliament in Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, or wherever, in ensuring that our people get the necessary needs and wants in going forward. Thank you.
Member from St. Catherine South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, I too join in welcoming this statement and much of what you have addressed. A couple of questions, Prime Minister. One has been raised regarding the extension of the custom duty exemption for a further month, but a couple of things I never got them. One, if items ship before the expiration date, would they qualify for the exemption? What are the details of before the expiration, if they would benefit from it? Goods in transit. Okay, fine. The second question on that point.
I actually love that question because I think there are people that needed to know that. That was a good question in terms of the waiver at the you know, when they're shipping certain relief items, there's a waiver that's out there by the government that has been extended to December 31st of this year. So that's a good question right there. We needed to know that. So that's a very good question from Mr. Fitz Henley. Oh wow, my bad, y'all. I got it on mute.
Public document, but things such as goods in transit. Okay, fine. The second question on that point, Prime Minister, there are a list of items clearly set out in the customs public document, but things such as heavy equipment, where you have external parties who are prepared to come to the country, bring their own equipment, heavy equipment, to be used with intention to re-export them upon the completion of their, after 1 year, year and a half, and so forth. Will considerations be given for those items critical to the recovery, rebuilding, that don't fall in the published list that we are aware of? Next question, Prime Minister. I heard in the media the big cry of many in Western Jamaica about being able to access cash. One quotation is that cash is king. Nobody is selling any item on credit. Many of the digital platforms are down from connectivity, electricity, etc. And cash becomes the only currency of transaction. In light of this national situation, where cash is critical to that side of the country, can some consideration be made with the bank's financial institution to, one, have banks in close proximity to those areas, and within those areas where there's electricity, etc., be open for extended hours within and around those areas that are so badly affected? Secondly, in regards to cash, for all the financial institutions to waive fees and withdrawal of cash from their account for this in this circumstance.
You know, I almost was certain that Mr. Fitz Henley was going to say that. Thank you, sir. When I went to the ATM today, I said to myself, are they still charging us to actually draw our money in this crisis? I literally asked myself that question, in the back of my mind, but I never really spoke about it on the live. And when I saw him get up to ask a question, because this is the first time I'm actually hearing it, I just knew he was, because that is something that he advocated for very heavily years ago, the removal of those fees. And he's still the man behind that. He's the pioneer for that. That's his baby, in terms of how he wants to help the people of Jamaica. And I think it's a noble thing to get behind. The removal of some of these bank fees. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like highway robbery and scamming, but it's legal. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
ATM machines, there are charges. With in-bank withdrawal, there are charges. For internal transfers, there are charges. It is inconceivable that the financial institution will not be willing to give favorable consideration, and worse, that they have not yet done it on their own initiative.
Exactly.
But better to be late than never.
True.
Thirdly, it's health-related, Prime Minister. Much have been said both by the leader of the opposition and the member from Eastern Westmoreland about the influx or increase in mosquito infestation. My constituency and Portmore is not there, and thankfully we have been spared. But what is certain is that we're going to have high mosquito infestation in Portmore. It started already. Prime Minister, it's a time of national emergency. The Portmore municipality has long indicated its willingness to assume that function if the Ministry of Health will delegate that authority to them to do it. As Member of Parliament, I am prepared to give some of my CF allocation. I'm certain my colleague from Southeast St. Catherine and from East Central St. Catherine will be willing to make some contribution so that there is some local control and some efficiency in having mosquito control in that area on a regular basis. And in that regard, I plead your consideration.
Wow. So he's willing to give up his money to help to mitigate the mosquito infestation in Portmore. I think mosquito infestation is gonna be all over the island. They're not gonna just stay in the west. Yo, it's gonna be crazy. It's like Jamaica has opened up. It's like Jamaica has opened up plagues and judgment on the island. I know a lot of people don't see it yet, but listen, dead bodies floating around in the water, dead animals floating around in the water, sick people without medication that's already sick. It is an atomic bomb of medical disaster just waiting to happen. Unfortunately. Quite unfortunate. But I appreciate the questions that Mr. I think I'm gonna have to highlight these as soon as I get some internet. Yeah, I'm gonna need some internet. Some power really. Because I need a Wi-Fi. Hopefully tomorrow my neighbor turns on his Delco early. Like 10 a.m. early, hopefully. Well, later.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member. Little Mike.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Prime Minister, for allowing us to speak. I come here today with a heavy heart and burdened by the devastation
Member,
that I left behind
just
in
to
Hanover.
introduce you, member from Hanover Eastern.
Thank you. I am disappointed that efforts were made to get information with regards. I have questions. The questions are coming, but it is indeed important that I make it the public and the Eastern Hanover citizens be aware that efforts were made and pleas were made for
So,
help.
member, in keeping with the standing orders, what you could do is to phrase it as a question.
I have questions.
You phrase your
I would like
statement
to,
in questions,
all right. I would like to know if the Prime Minister is aware that Eastern Hanover was badly hit by Melissa. It is a valid question.
Members, please allow.
So what kind of disrespecting that? The lady was told to ask what she had a concern about in a question. She could have made a statement, but they refused. She asked a question, and now it's like they are attacking her. What is wrong? You know, the members of the Jamaica, guys, please hit the like button for me. Right here, up here somewhere. Can you see my finger right here, up here somewhere? The like button is right. Please just tap that thumb up symbol, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell and click all. Need the likes to get the video out. Thank you. But why are they attacking the lady? It doesn't make any sense.
My question.
Members, please allow the member from Hanover Eastern to ask questions.
I don't want to be bullied, respectfully. I don't want to be bullied. It is important that I say what I'm saying. I have made efforts. I sent messages to Minister Charles. None of my messages were answered. However, this morning, representatives from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security are in Hanover. We have not received anything from government as yet. We have marooned communities. With regards to the Prime Minister's statement, nothing was mentioned about those marooned communities. Communities like Chigwell, where the water is rising. Communities like Forest, Chester Castle, Leafy, Cops. And earlier, I received a message that persons are marooned in New Mills. So it is indeed important that before I get to my questions, I lay these facts down. My questions are, when can we expect food and medical relief?
You see, this is why sometimes if God was like man, boy, I tell you, boy, you know, I don't want to say that. Let me not say that. Let me just hold that one back, because these people are really back of the class dunce in a parliament. Just be quiet and allow the lady to ask her. She wanted to make a statement, and the statement would go something like this. Well, Prime Minister, I'm wondering if you are aware of what is really happening in Hanover, because I have made several attempts to reach out to agencies and ministers, and I have got no reply. Furthermore, in your statement or in your address, nothing was mentioned about my constituency. And the realities in the constituency is this. There's several communities marooned, roads are blocked off, people are hungry, people need water, we have not received any aid from the government. And again, your presentation did not mention anything about us. So are we the forgotten constituency? That is these are people's lives we're talking about. That water is rising. The lady said that water is rising in areas of Hanover in her constituency. The water is rising. If that is not a cause for concern, I don't know what the hell is. That is important. It's something that they obviously did not know already. Because if the Prime Minister knew, obviously it would have been in his address. And it was not in his speech. He made no mention of it because he doesn't know all the facts. And this is the reason why all of us were saying, why did they not unite from the inception with the People's National Party councillors to find out what is going on everywhere so they can actually have an effect in their response everywhere. It's quite simple. It is not rocket science. It's not.
For Eastern Hanover, when can we expect air relief to residents of Chester Castle and New Mills, and also in the forest area where people are moving around on boats? Thank you.
Look how simple that was. All they had to do was shut the hell up and listen. And I'm glad how she stood up and said, I will not be bullied. Thank you so much, Miss Perkis. We needed to understand that reality that is going on in those areas. Because you're elected to represent the people, and the people are in need. And these people only care about how the Prime Minister looks because they worship him. All those members of Parliament over there, because a lot of them, it appears that they are not qualified for their jobs, and them get a bus. So they have to make sure so them protect the Dan. That is the behavior that they're having. It doesn't make any other sense the way how they're operating. It is an absolute disgrace, and it's dangerous. The way how they're treating this thing, it's actually dangerous, and they are putting the people of Jamaica's lives at risk with their attitude and their mentality. We want the information to get out so that we can remedy the situation and move on.
Thank you, member. The member from St. Elizabeth Northeast.
Thank you.
Guys, remember to hit the like button. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Remember, you turned your mic off and on again, and that is unlikely that the person sitting beside you is the next person in line. Hold on. You may have to move. The person next in line is the member from Portland East. Don't just yield. You can ask your question first, then the member from St. Elizabeth can come across to you. St. Elizabeth Northeast. So don't turn your mic off.
I won't, Madam Speaker,
Thank
but
you.
chivalry is not dead. So if my friend will, thank you. I will yield.
You know, Isaac Buchanan is really showing up. All those people that keep throwing him his past in his face. He's being a consummate gentleman. He has been articulating himself as we know he can excellently, and he has been respectful to everybody. He's truly acting as the representative in terms of a humanitarian. He embodies his mandate in the parliament. Big shout out to Isaac, no joke.
So, member, in keeping with the standing orders, permission to speak from a seat other than your own.
Might I have permission to speak from a seat other than my own?
Yes, member.
Madam Speaker.
So remember member questions.
Very well, Madam Speaker. To the member from Eastern Portland, my questions to the Prime Minister are as follows. Madam Speaker, I wonder whether there will be any consideration to offering or engaging shelter managers on a paid basis. And I ask that against the background of persons calling me on the day of the hurricane to ask if I could help to locate shelter managers because there was no way to access particular shelters in some of my constituency. I also ask it against the background of having visited shelters in Thornton and Quickstep, which were without resources, no bedding, etc. And there were no measures in place for persons who were actually coming in. I wonder if we perhaps engage shelter managers on a paid basis, if we might have a better outcome in terms of the future preparation for these types of natural disaster. My second question has to do with the issue of housing. Would the Prime Minister be in a position to indicate or provide a timeline for persons living in northeastern St. Elizabeth to expect when they can perhaps look forward to having a roof over their heads? And I understand the exigency of the situation, but I asked the question because up to this morning, a resident from Park Mountain asked me, she said that she knew that the situation is dire, but she wanted to know when we would be able to assist her to get a house for her 5 children. So I'm asking, can the Prime Minister provide or indicate a timeline that those residents who were affected can look forward to getting housing assistance?
Now that's a great question. That see, there's many challenges, in regards to this disaster. And the government of Jamaica, if they are in good faith, is operating in the mandate of really helping the people, it is going to show whether or not they are. And these questions are really setting them up perfectly to prove whether they are truly for the people. And let me tell you why. The questions that the People's National Party is asking the government, Andrew Willis-led government, are questions that it is going to now put them in a position where they cannot say that they did not know or was not given proper suggestions through questioning of both the issues and solutions to the issues. Setting a timeline for housing is important. And what Dr. Dayton Campbell mentioned in terms of the housing solutions that would be cheapest and quickest to reach the people, 2,000 to 3,000 US. I think the government needs to find a company, reach out to their partners in the United States, wherever it may be, China, right? And find out how quickly they can get 20,000 of those homes to Jamaica and see if they can work out a discount. You understand? I think that would be money well spent. You understand? Because one of the things that Andre Stevens mentioned earlier, apart from being mobbed by people that was hungry, is, people were sleeping on the tarpaulins that they gave them. The idea is the tarpaulin is supposed to be a cover. But no, I understand why they're sleeping on the tarpaulin. Because they have nothing to sleep on and the ground is cold. So they're using the tarpaulin as an effort to actually, not have the cold under them. So they have to choose the night mist, the air, Hey, let me tell you something, man. This thing is so serious. This thing is so serious. There's no way. There's just, somebody's Sassy D text me and said, Bolo, don't watch Andre. I said, too late. I said, too late. I already watched. Too late. I already watched. I wanted to come on live immediately. And I was like, no, I cannot believe you're telling me that in those areas, where are the soldiers and the police? Where are the security? Should have been one of the first. Yo, let me tell you something. There should be checkpoints. This is what I believe in terms of security. I'm not an expert or anything, but along these most vulnerable areas, there needs to be checkpoints. with not one vehicle, 2 vehicle minimum. You understand what I'm saying? Very capable soldiers. This is what they are built for, the outdoors. This is what they are trained for. You understand what I'm saying? There needs to be some level of security like never before in those areas, because people are robbing people that are, you know what I'm saying, they are hungry. I'm not saying to go and throw these people in a jail. I'm saying this is the time for the JCF and the JDF to exercise their their capabilities in restoring order, right? And I'm not talking about the abuse of the citizens of Jamaica. I'm talking about real policing, real security, protecting the people from themselves, essentially, right? That's what I'm talking about. Be a presence, be a very strong presence. Well, let's continue, Zuleika. Just
Third, the Prime Minister spoke about connectivity and Starlink communication. Will there be any consideration to providing such connectivity to communities in northeastern St. Elizabeth? And if the answer is yes, might we have a timeline for the provision of such services?
so that means they have not received any internet Starlink in those areas. They haven't received them. And if there's any plan to, what is the timeline? Oh, these questions are beautiful. These questions hold you accountable. Because now they can't say these questions were never asked. You know, we need the international media in Parliament every day to keep Juliet Holness in check somewhat. Yeah, man. She under manners today. Want to see that? Well, not today, the other day. She under manners on Tuesday, brother. Wow.
And finally, Madam Speaker, I represent a constituency that is cut off in the interiors, in the hills, where there is the likelihood that power and energy will not resume anytime soon. Will there be any consideration to putting in place special measures to provide alternative form of energy to these communities that are cut off and are unlikely to be able to be restored to the JPS grid at any particular time in the near future? And I ask again, because it has come to my attention that there are specific generators that can actually power entire communities. So will the government be looking into providing any kind of relief by way of power connectivity to these communities which have been deeply affected? Thank you.
Thank you, member. Members, remember, do not repeat.
Hey, it's me.
Yourself or repeat questions already asked. Is the member from, oh gosh, I forgot about. Would you be so kind? Chivalry is not dead.
Oh my God. Juliet Holness is acting as if she and the house is just bodyguarders. Hey, how you doing? You coming over for dinner tomorrow, Miss Angela Brownberg? You know how much time they have disrespected Angela Brownberg, shut off her mic, all type of something, tried to bully her. You know how many times they have done that? I cannot believe what I'm. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. Oh, Angela. What? Yo, this is what I missed.
The next member is the member from, oh gosh, I forgot about you. Would you be so kind? Chivalry is not dead.
No, she's using Isaac words. Yo, the hypocrisy is so thick in the room, man, coming from Juliet Holness. Wow.
However,
Madam Speaker, I will seek your permission. That is not my own.
and then turn over to.
Madam Speaker, I don't know if karma is alive in this room, but only one good deed I benefit from now. I'm seeking your permission under Standing Order 18 to set the context of my question. If not permitted, then I will move forward. But I know that you use it slavishly, and I just need an explanation so that the Prime Minister don't misinterpret anything I'm saying in good faith.
So, member, I have sat here. I have sat here, and persons have made every effort not to necessarily ask their questions, regardless of the rules of the House. Member, ask your question. The Standing Order also allows, if your questions are not properly answered, to be able to ask. Standing Order enables the House to understand what's standing.
Yo, she just really wanted to be seen right now. I can't do this. I can't do it.
I tried my best. Very well. Mr. Prime Minister, I have three questions for you. One, the context of equitable distribution. Portland Eastern sits in the east of the island, but there are communities that are maroon. And I heard in your statement, you made mention of the use of technology. And while we applaud that, technology sometimes cannot be a substitute for the lived human experience. So much so that in Eastern, there are communities where all the roofs were blown off. And because it's not a parish that is labeled as affected areas, albeit there are places, as in different communities that were affected, because we are a coastal parish, as you understand. Will there be a committee set up to investigate the maroon areas so that they can be attended first in time, like the other areas that have already been designated as such? In keeping with the equitable distribution, if I am to continue with the theme of dealing with human dignity, Portland Eastern is now situated as the least among us, but the spirit of the Constitution speaks about protecting the rights of the least among us. Since those who are affected that are not a part of the classification of the catastrophe that my colleagues speak of in the name parishes, it is my question to you whether you will reconsider, because of geographical location, size of the constituency, whether or not an allocation can be reconsidered on a situation ethics basis. So much so that the allocation for water for Portland Eastern, and I don't see the minister in here now, the allocation for basic, he's engaged in conversation, but the allocation for even food. Prime Minister, I did the math. It's $195 million for care packages for the 39,000 persons on the voters list alone. Now, I'm raising that to you because the public is watching. I'm in no way suggesting that you give me $195 million to feed the constituents, but I'm not being political now. The reality is, in terms of food distribution, the 1.5 million would amount to about 300 care packages at $5,000. So the question I'm asking to you is in terms of the equity in distribution to ensure that persons are given the basic amenities, the basic necessities in keeping with ensuring that persons aren't excluded from the distribution. I would have raised in another forum in terms of the impossibility of government to take on the distribution by itself. It's just a consideration so that the Minister of Social Security isn't put on the back end when he's doing his best. That one understands that whatever is communicated to the government is what the government can respond to in a crisis. So a consideration that we are an island, we were all affected, and whatever mechanism is used to find the areas so the least among us is not suffering, because we are guided by the Constitution, and I'm just asking you to consider that. And the last but not least, in keeping with the teachings of Jesus and situation ethics, is that we are guided to understand that at a time like this, Prime Minister, we don't see color. We don't see the political lines. And if we would communicate that to the public, that we are united on that front, then certainly when it comes to distribution, one understands that the cries that I make for Portland Eastern is as equally where the areas that are suffering from the disaster and the devastation, that they also are seen. Thank you.
Don't turn the mic off, please. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, thank you for your
Member
indulgence.
from St. Andrew Southwest, please come to the mic.
No, I know that there was some grumblings over there. They really don't like Isaac. That's one. And he's really trying to be as, respectful as possible. But they just don't care about that, because the questions that are being asked, all in good faith, exposes a harsh reality. How is it that the Prime Minister and the government, remember, I think East Portland was one of the first places to get hit by weather, like good weather, St. Thomas and Portland. Remember, the storm was over that side, and I remember Dominican Republic and Haiti was being flooded before, so there was bands of the hurricane that was hitting them from early. And then when the hurricane really hit landfall now, and the thing is so huge, it covered the entire island, really. So some of those winds really destroyed homes over there. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just, I understand St. Elizabeth, and it appears that they forgot about Westmoreland, and we can play the politics or not play the politics, but come on. Leon Jackson Miller asked the question. It's clear that Westmoreland was not considered. Why are all these situations where places that were damaged in Jamaica are one not considered or not investigated? It's very concerning. It's very concerning. It's like they're really, honestly, it's a lot. It's like they're being overwhelmed, but they're trying to be cool about it. Trust me. Come through, Angela.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just a couple of questions that I have. The first one, when the Prime Minister spoke about the housing solutions, I was wondering whether or not, Prime Minister, for whatever the solutions are, the issues around ownership that normally attend to housing solutions for government, if those will be waived so that it will become easier for persons to access. That's one. The second question really is around the shelters. I hear you talking about how you would deal with some of the shelters. No, I was wondering if in what you were saying, you also took into account that some of the places that are now shelters were not part of the Montague. That's okay. I was waiting for your undivided attention, sir. Thanks for now giving it to me. In terms of the shelters, I was wondering if you took into account the buildings or the areas that are actually functioning as shelters when you spoke about shelters, or whether you were looking at what was previously designated as shelters before. In other words, I've heard people go to one shelter, the roof blow off, go to one next shelter, the roof blow off, catch a little place over there, and that became the shelter. So I want to make sure we're clear on what you are defining as shelter, so individuals will know that wherever they are going to get the relief. And then my other two questions. One is around economic devastation that you spoke about, and whatever the solution is going to be for individuals in terms of making something available. To remember,
You know, one of the things I don't think I heard, they need to roll back these salaries of the politicians. If there was ever a time, if there was ever a time to show good faith, these politicians' salary needs to be rolled back. Alright? Yeah, man, to ease the burden, it gotta be rolled back, bro. Gots to be rolled back.
That I think you had 3 categories of parishes that were affected. I want to remind you that there are communities that are totally decimated, even in areas where there hasn't been much damage. Yeah, and in this case, and I noticed it was included when you spoke about the agriculture and the other areas for economic devastation. But I want to mention the fishers.
Density is a tool.
Yo, I love how the PNP detailed in the man. The brain box of
And
these
to ask you
people.
to,
I love how them thinking, because the fishers them get hit bad, you know. Man of them boat and everything, like them get hit bad too.
was included when you spoke about the agriculture and the other areas for economic devastation, but I want to mention the fishers in particular, and to ask you to make sure that when we're talking, they know that they are included. And you would know, Prime Minister, that I have to talk about the fishers because I have fishing communities and they are totally decimated. They went back out to sea, not one pot was saved. Yeah, many of them no netting left. Many of them, the wharves are totally gone. And so I want to make sure that although I'm in Kingston, although we don't have that level of devastation, that these communities that will be able to take kind of aid. And then my final question really is around whether or not, in hindsight, Prime Minister, you believe that we could have had a more transparent and effective communication, in particular with elected representatives, MPs, councillors, and other leaders. And I heard a voice over there when someone asked a question saying, if you not listen to press conference. I believe that the Parliament of the land must have a system of communication even in this national disaster that recognizes the authority of the elected members of the National House of Parliament.
Oh, they didn't like that. This is probably why Dalrymple got up. Yeah, they didn't like that. That last part really rubbed them wrong.
The next question will come from the member. That's Bennett? That's Miss Bennett? Bennett? From Western Hanover. Member, apologies, that was me. That's on. Member from Hanover West. No, by the member from Clarendon Northwest. Clarendon Northwest member. Don't touch the button. Clarendon Northwest. No, no. No.
Hey, me nah lie, you know. Juliet come out for your press today, you know. I don't know who they are makeup, but Juliet Owners come out for your press today for your mainstream media press. Y'all gotta behave myself, man. Oh, somebody had messaged me and said that Andrew came in with somebody today. I don't know what true it is. You know, people end up there look so between Andrew and Juliet Owners. Why? For them relationship just their road, so. Everybody knows something about for them relationship. I never seen nothing like this. They just bagga. Terrible. Anyway, our people claim to know, you know. Them think too bagga, man. But anyway, she come out. Juliet, come on, look on Juliet.
That's not her.
Juliet, come out to the makeup. Juliet, oh, still, you know. You know, say makeup on ever sitting. Afraid of makeup, brother. Whenever I see Juliet without makeup. Oh my God, bro. Big woman. Big woman for be big woman. Sometimes makeup they not work, you know. Some natural thing for your skin and the way, you know.
Seek permission, right? It's Madam Heather.
Member from Hanover West, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I seek permission to speak from a seat that is not assigned to me.
Permission granted, member.
Madam Speaker, many of the farmers and fisher folk down in Western Hanover were badly damaged. Crops destroyed, nets gone. My question today is what kind of resource will there be a special allocation for our farmers and fisher folks under the circumstances? My other question, I welcome the Prime Minister's presentation with respect to putting in field hospitals. He did mention that Holmes Hospital was badly damaged. The outpatient ward area is no more. The maternity ward is no more.
Jesus.
In the interim, will there be some kind of place to reach our elderly, vulnerable persons out in the communities? And also, what timeline is in place to put in such field hospital? And also, whether or not there will be consideration to build a new hospital for Hanover. That is, the Noel Holmes Hospital as it is now and where it is, whether consideration is being had to build it elsewhere.
No, those are a couple excellent questions. The fisher folk, allocation, welcoming, you know. I welcome somebody said something. The field hospital that they have. How is it? And it wasn't somebody. Specifically, Mr. Wayne Nonson. Big up yourself, Mr. Wayne Nonson. The last live stream that I saw with Mr. Wayne Nonson, the title alone caught my eye. The title was it was a question. And the title was absolutely brilliant. Right. The title was brilliant. Let me show you. Show you what I mean. So this title says, Field Hospital built and equipment in one day, but Tufton Beryllium stuck for 8 years, plus the $28 billion for Cornwall Regional Hospital. Now you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that is a very serious question, you know. That put a lot of context into it, you know. Why is it that Mobile couldn't get a field hospital? That field hospital that is in the area down there, excuse me. It's gonna be there for a while, you know. It's gonna take them a while to build a new hospital. So, given that we're paying these people massive bucks, why nobody never thought about, in the government, never thought about field hospital? I know I've heard suggestions from Andre Horton about having, a whole ship as a hospital that would be accessed, obviously, when it park up. And I thought that was a brilliant, suggestion. But Tufton, Christopher Tufton, sir, why we don't have any field hospitals in in more areas in Jamaica even before the disaster. Because trust me, they would have moved many needles, to be honest, in a lot of different places. But it goes to show, like again, I don't know what these people's intention is, but it doesn't feel right.
Don't turn off the mic. Next is the
Something
member
is wrong.
from Clarendon Northwest.
Clarendon Northwest.
No, the person who was seated there. Go ahead, ma'am.
Prime Minister, I wonder if, thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, I wonder if given...
They really don't like Nikita Burchell because she's the communications arm.
The learning...
She's the communications arm and she has been really tearing them a new one in terms of exposing a lot of things. So they really don't like her. Let's see how this goes.
We're taking from this experience, if you have given any consideration to the fact that deep rural constituencies such as South St. James, Northwest St. Elizabeth, East Central St. James may need to have a more devolved and decentralized way of managing not only disaster and recovery, but how we treat the development of deep rural constituencies. You see, when deep rural constituencies are lumped in with other constituencies as a block and treated with a one-size-fits-all kind of a recovery model, you have outlying constituencies, communities that are marooned, that are treated the same way you treat the constituencies, communities at the center of the cities. Maybe it is an uncomfortable conversation, but have you given any consideration, given it's a question, to the fact that deep rural constituencies should not be allowed to wait the back line for repairs to their roads, for repairs to their community centers, while we focus on the hospitals and at the middle of the parish, for example, in St. James? Yes, the hospitals need to be repaired, but should we have to wait always at the back of the line? What if we had a central repository, a group that is designed to look about our welfare even while you're looking about the welfare of those at the center? Deep rural constituencies, I believe, may even need a special department with technocrats who understand our reality, that can think about how they serve us even while others are focused on serving the centers. My second question, Prime Minister, it relates to shelter access and supply preparedness. Are you aware, Prime Minister, that deep rural constituencies were told that we should invite our residents to go to these shelters and expect to get food after the hurricane passes? What that meant for us in our experience is that communities got marooned after the hurricane passed. And so people who were in shelters from Sunday or Monday did not get food until as late as yesterday in some cases. And that when we redesign the model of preparedness, that we may have to contemplate that we have stockpiles of resources somewhere in satellite or regional offices, because we are small island developing states. We're SIDS, and SIDS have to treat with our preparedness, not a 2-day notice or a 3-day notice, but months in advance we have to prepare, and prepare especially for deep rurals that can get marooned and cut off. My other question, Prime Minister, is about the accuracy of reports versus the reality on the ground. What you presented here today, I must tell you, painted a picture I wish was the case for us in South St. James. It sounded as if there was some military precision in how we prepared for the storm, and hurricane rather, and how we responded to it. And I want to thank everybody who helped, the JDF, the JCF, the outsiders, whomever else. But as is the case in South St. James, and it could also be because the data gaps are so wide and so glaring, that we have not seen that kind of treatment that you laid out for us here today. So we didn't see the JDF people rappelling down from ropes and bringing food to the people in these remote communities. We did not see the JDF and the JCF and the NAA and all these agencies.
The other challenge you will have, member. See, I just switched off. Are you finished your questions, member? So you'll have to move to another station. So the challenge, no. So members, as of next sitting,
Yo, me say, Juliet when I try all it together, I'm not like, yo, the beast almost come out a while ago. Yo, them question I beat them bad, but it's wicked, you know. The situation in St. James is awful. People people are in shelters and they haven't gotten food or supplies in 7 days, probably not 8 days now. That's terrible. Even the people that are putting their own money out there to help, you know, it's still not enough. The people welcome it and they didn't have to do that. It's really the response of the government that we are looking for to hold them accountable. And so far, they have done a very poor job.
member from Hanover, you might as well sit, your mic is off. Your mic, St. James, you may as well sit, your mic is off. Members, as of next sitting, you will not turn your mic on until after you're recognized. I know it's a point of order when he stood up, but member, your point of order. Marshall, would you be so kind? Is it possible to utilize the per mic? Would you please take it to the member for the point of order?
Yo, Juliet is about to blow a gasket.
Madam Speaker, the member from South St. James is misleading the House, Madam Speaker. At no point and at no time in the Prime Minister's presentation did he speak about persons jumping out of helicopters, as you just said a while ago. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I understand it is a sensitive time and a sensitive period, and you're offering some latitude, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, please have the members speak honestly and follow the standing orders.
Sir, you need to sit down. This is the moment that he didn't know he messed up.
Get up and ask your question. Get up and ask your question, Madam Speaker.
Another member, does another member have a point of order? No? Marshall, will you take the mic to the member from St. James? So, member.
Look how these two over here are acting. You know, I am very disappointed in the persons that the Jamaican people voted for. A lot of them over by the Jamaica Labour Party. I don't know what this lady name is. That's in the green right here, so. That's James Robertson.
From St. James.
That's James Robertson beside her. I don't know what this lady's name is, but yeah. It is, I don't know.
Member from St. James South.
I really don't know.
To ask a question. You have gotten a lot of latitude.
To ask the question.
No. In all of your discussions earlier, please get to your question without the embellishment. Member, thanks much. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Most of us appreciate English language and understand similes and metaphor, but you'll get there. No, no, Madam Speaker.
Yo, let's go to class, all right? Similes are metaphors. Oh my God. What is a simile? Because I'm dunce, all right? I am a dunce person, ladies and gentlemen. What is a simile? A figure of speech involving comparison of one thing with another thing or a different kind, used to make a description more emphatic or vivid, as brave as a lion. That is a simile. Boy, she really did that, boy.
Member, thanks much. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Most of us appreciate English language and understand similes and metaphor, but you'll get there. No, no, Madam Speaker.
Went over his head. Lord of mercy. Also a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is implied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. So she's saying, sir, she was not literal. She was not being literal when she spoke about jumping out of planes. And he got angry about that. He looked very stupid.
No, Madam Speaker, Prime Minister, and thank you. I was speaking to the reports you were receiving. I'm certain you did not go there and collect that information yourself, but you're relying on those in the field to provide you with information so you can make the best decisions. And I'm saying that what was shared here today doesn't reflect the reality we had on the ground in South St. James. As someone who walked across the constituency from Wednesday until Sunday and returns there tomorrow, I speak as their mouthpiece to say to you, Prime Minister, that what you have received, consider, or will you consider that it may be embellished and not truly reflective of what we are experiencing? That's a question. My next question is about the scale of the damage and inadequate allocations. And I want to thank you and thank your cabinet for considering that $10 million allocation to a constituency like South St. James. But when you get a chance, and I know you have a long list of places to go, Prime Minister, will you consider coming to South St. James and these constituencies on foot this time and see for yourself the scale of the damage? I know that data.
No, you know, it's a Nikita Burchell. Why you stress out, Andrew? Look at Andrew's face. Andrew say, yo, them people want to kill me off, you know. Me fi go walk. Oh, God. Andrew look like one depressed puppy right or so. Oh, man.
For yourself the scale of the damage. I know that data is not our strong point in Jamaica. We don't collect enough data to show you that 5 or 10 or whole communities have been wiped out. And the speaker, the leader of government business can tell you, because he's from Moko, that Moko don't exist anymore. The houses have been flat. I don't know where to start with $10 million. And I'm asking that you do not apply a one-size-fits-all budget or purse to constituencies that have been totally demolished by devastating Melissa. That you come in, not by yourself, but with the technocrats, with those from Mona Geologics, with those who actually, not the politicians, they're just noise. I want you to consider, Prime Minister, to come in with the technocrats and see for yourself, because I don't know where to begin with $10 million. And my final question, Madam Speaker, to you, Prime Minister, is compensation and recognition for community responders. For me, I heard when you mentioned, Prime Minister, you know, about all of these agencies that went in and did all of these beautiful things in the constituencies, supported by the men and women on the ground. I wish for you to understand that from our perspective, it was the entire
another way around. It's 180 degrees. It was the men and women from the constituencies who went in first, second, and third to clear the way so that they could come in. And I want you to...
True, you know, a lot of the people were on the first night when the hurricane had left. A lot of people was out and about. They were chopping, they were trying to clear roads all over the country. The people went straight to work, like literally, and they didn't get any compensation for that. So what she's about to ask now is like, it's pivotal.
Consider, or will the Prime Minister consider, that the stimulus package that you proposed be thought out in a way that not only the big contractors who come in with their trucks and their tractors from parishes in St. Thomas and Kingston get the big bucks, but consider, Prime Minister, that these people who use them saw, them hoe, them machete to clear a path be given some of the big bucks too, and not just the crumbs after they have swallowed up the bulk of it. Thank you, Madam.
And although they're trying to shut her up, that's a great way to put some income into the people that are devastated. Strong, able-bodied men and women that are out of a job. Why not put them to work to clean? Why not put them to work to clean up their own communities? Why not pay them to clean up their own communities? Why not? I think it makes all the sense in the world. As much as they are trying to shut up Queen of the South, right? All the sense in the world. That is a great suggestion, right?
Now, members, you get a lot of latitude which you abuse. You get a lot of latitude which you abuse.
No, they didn't abuse it. They have been muzzled by you several times to the point where they had to walk out of the parliament. If they had gotten those opportunities to ask their questions, maybe, just maybe, we would not be here today like this. Just maybe.
The member, he's St. and that's St. and Southeast, the member from St. and Southeast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your presentation. If you'd allow me, would like to also acknowledge those involved, the first responders, especially those at community level. And this being Youth and Community Month, just to thank them for the work that they've done in this response. My questions are as follows. Given the reported preparation of the shelters and the need to ensure that shelters are a place of protection for those who do not have another place in an emergency, in a storm, in a hurricane like the one we experienced, will the Minister give consideration to the building of purpose-built facilities to be used as shelters in order that the situation which we now see in places such as Blackstonnage, where the children slept on the floor, where the women slept on the desks, where one woman to this is the hubs which you spoke about. I noticed there are no hubs in central Jamaica. And as such, places like St. Mary, St. Anne, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. So the question is the extent to which these hubs will serve central Jamaica and why aren't any located in this part of the country. I couldn't agree with you more. I share your desire and your call for us to double production in the parishes that were not as affected as the western parishes. Prime Minister, can you tell the House what provisions are going to be made now? My farmers are ready to go to the fields now. My micro, small and medium business enterprises are ready to start again now. Prime Minister, what provisions are being made now to allow them to double production in the way that you have described?
Oh, that is a good question. You have to give them the tools. If there's farmers in St. Anne and these areas that are ready to, try to supplement some level of food security of the island. Remember, the bread basket of our country has been significantly damaged. We need to know what they're going to do for the farmers. Agriculture really needs to get an injection and a boost of life with the aid of the government. Let's see how they operate that.
We are, like you, concerned about the mental health issues affecting our communities. But our communities have also lost the ability to socialize. They have the spaces that they normally use for socialization. And so, Prime Minister, would you consider making provisions for rapid repair, not only of schools, but also of community centers, and for the provision of play spaces and opportunities so that we can get our relaxed, having spaces to entertain themselves and to move forward in a way that will allow them to recover fully from this hurricane? And my final question, Madam Speaker, each time we have a major disaster such as this one, we get an allocation days before. With putting in place an automatic trigger for funds to be released to members of parliament once there is a tropical storm warning or something similar. You have your chance to ask your questions. They have no questions. Oh, they have no questions. So, Prime Minister, may I?
No, member. Jesus. Member, thank you very much. You said that was your final question, and you wouldn't need to restate your question. Thanks, member. Said that was your...
Have your chance to ask your question for funds to be released to members of parliament. We get each time we have a major disaster such as this one, we get an allocation days before. Would the Prime Minister consider putting in place an automatic trigger for funds to be released to members of parliament once there is a tropical storm warning or something similar? You will have your chance to ask your questions. They have no questions. Oh, they have no questions. So, Prime Minister, may I?
No, member. Jesus. Member, thank you very much. You said that was your final question, and you wouldn't need to restate your question. Thanks, member. Next member.
You see, because it's late, I can't really express myself fully. I don't want to wake up the neighborhood. Pause. But this lady, man, these people, you know, some serious questions the people might ask, though. Some serious questions that need to be considered. You know what I mean?
Members, please allow those asking questions. Members asking questions, please allow them to be heard. Member from St. Catherine Northwest. Member, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Prime Minister, I wonder, sir, if you are aware that there are areas in St. Catherine that exist in operation, but on the border of some of the harshest hit areas in Clarendon. One such area as Loidas Vale, and the Minister of Finances from Loidas Vale, extreme flooding. You see, you know our nephew ran for the division. No, Loidas Vale division. 1 second, hold on. Loidas Vale, I ask for your protection, Madam Speaker. All right, yes. But the...
Yo. What am I to know? This is the part of the parliament where kind of bother me because, you know, I don't think anybody should be happy and jovial right now. Maybe something is wrong with me. I don't think these people are taking this thing very quite seriously, honestly. I think Too many, too much clack, 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 you know what I mean? Too much. Just, yeah.
All right, but let me make my point. Mr. Prime Minister, the Loweyersville division
Member,
exists
member,
on the border of Clarendon.
member from St. Catherine. Once you're not being heard, you may relax and take your
No,
seat
the-
at
the
some.
necessary
No,
person is
not to
listening.
worry, not to worry. We have all the time in the world.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Yo, she is grandstanding like a mother. What?
So,
Remember, she's doing everything to be heard or seen by mainstream media.
Right, so allow the member to ask his question
So, Mr.
without
Prime
being
Minister,
disturbed.
the Loweyersville division is on the border of Clarendon. And while I can accept that 3 of the 4 were not significantly affected, that particular division had extensive damage because of its location in the hills of St. Catherine. I therefore ask the question if areas like those, while in St. Catherine, can receive some consideration because of the realities. I also ask Prime Minister that we consider specific realities of communities because the gust of the wind was not the only damaging feature. You yourself stated the difference between Haiti and I think you said Costa Rica or Chile. The initial situation of the housing, especially for poorer communities, more poor communities, would have caused for even less wind impact to create equal damage in some of those areas. And by extension, while we are not ground zero in some of those communities, the starting point of those houses have caused for some constituencies to have had similar damage, even though they were not in the center of the hurricane itself. So I ask that you consider that. Secondly, the initial response by NWA, the National Works Agency, is directed to what they term NWA roads.
Are you wondering how?
Why?
However, some of the essential services, like clinics and schools, are not necessarily along the NWA pathway. To that extent, while what you have announced today of giving the MPs some funding will assist to do as is necessary, for the future, I believe that there needs to be a further categorization of essential roads as simply NWA roads, because some of our essential services did not lie on what is termed an NWA road, and the delay has caused for limited access to some of those essential services. I can speak for some of my schools that principals were delayed in getting back to school to assess and to do
Remember, you know
necessary
better.
things.
Just ask the questions. What? Yeah, no man, I give enough latitude. Member, just the questions,
Yes.
because you have several members who still have questions. Thank you so much, member.
Yes. You learned something else. Mr. Prime Minister, is there a system, Mr. Prime Minister, in place for, Mr. Prime Minister, is there a system in place for social workers to do the necessary assessments and to pair families willing to take on persons in their homes? For example,
Yes, I am
in
on the
Kingston,
live.
a person may be willing to take somebody in their home for a short period of time. It would be best if there was a trained individual to make a pairing between the person in need and the person willing to volunteer
The light
to
turn off
reduce the
itself.
probability of negatives for persons willing to open their home. Well, a lot of the rehabilitation, a lot of recovery would need to separate, especially some of our small children, from the realities that they're being faced with in the spaces of Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, etc. And there are Jamaicans that have space, that have heart, that are willing to open their doors for periods of time. Is there a system of application, volunteering, and also social workers pairing so that the necessary things can be done in that way?
Yeah, get up.
So, Prime Minister, I saw the announcement of a Department of Volunteerism
You need the
being
light?
set up, I think, in the Ministry of Culture.
Oh,
When will that be open for telephone calls? Is there a website up? So it will be up soon for persons to indicate. Great. Finally, Mr. Prime Minister, as a farmer who know the pain of expecting returns and losing those returns, there are some farm-independent communities that the trees didn't need any great guts. They're fully damaged, fully devastated. We're seeing, we're seeing banana trees all on the ground. We're seeing sorrel that they were depending on for Christmas. We're seeing gungo, they can't get that anymore. We see pear on the ground, we see yam, totally. I didn't hear much about farming, but their recovery, their survival is totally dependent on the returns from that farming. I hear about the food package. The $5,000 package is 2 days meal for a 3-member family. If you go to a 5-member family, possibly 1 day meal when you look at 3 pounds of flour and 3 pounds of rice. These people who might not have lost their roof, but their economic dependence, their livelihood was on farming. I can speak to many who have lost their chicken because light don't come back yet, and the freezer can't come back on. I don't need to speak for myself, I'm not the worst. I can speak for some whose chicken is now ready, and they can't kill them, and must feed them. I wonder, though they were not impacted in their homes, how are we going to act for the farmers, especially because there must be a delay between replanting and reaping. These were in close proximity to reaping. How are we going to do that? And
the question on farming, Jamaica, we really have to prepare for the worst. I'm sorry, but these damages that are being recorded, any importation of food is only going to result into the cost of food that's already high now, but getting higher. That's what we're looking at, Water. Something came to me. I'm going to say it to my mother. I think I need to write it down. For the areas, let me say it on here so the people can use it as a tip. For those that are listening, here's a tip for you. Hold on. Let me just... All right, so for those that are listening, here's a tip for you. In terms of areas that have gotten water back, I think you need to be very wise. And here's what I suggest. If you have containers, fill them with the pipe water after boiling and store as much as you can. You hear what I said? Fill them with the pipe water and store as much as you can. Drinking water from the pipe, boil it and store as much as you can in as much containers as you have. That's my suggestion. Good? Let's continue. Agriculture, food, fisheries, everything is under threat right now. Food securities. I don't even know where we're at with that.
Mr. Prime Minister, the final thing, the CDF. Can instruction be given to the CDF to relax some of their requirements? Well, you don't hear my question. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, I reached out to the CDF to get a generator and a freezer for that same chicken problem. That the chicken, I knew the constituents who would not be able to purchase a generator and freezers for the chicken and their livelihood, that we could have that at a central space and they could check in their chicken and their thing like that. The CDF suggested that wasn't within the mandate. However, the same CDF will give allocation to go buy 100 little chicken for them to start over, instead of giving us some capacity to preserve their investment, because for some reason a generator was not built.
Listen to me. You see the teacher, Damon Crawford, this question here, so this question needs to be studied. So the allocation is there to give them new chickens, but the ones that are already grown, that all they need to do is preserve, is gonna be lost. And people need food. Like, come on, man. This is an emergency, man. We gotta think on our toes here, ladies and gentlemen. These actual questions are so good that we just need to start implementing some of the suggestions right away. Honestly, from all the members of the People's National Party, great contributions. You understand?
When there is a disaster in front of us, there needs to be some capacity to say if the proposal is sensible within the context of the times, that investment can be facilitated under that particular circumstance.
True.
So those are the questions.
True. That are real thought there, man.
The member from St. James South made reference to the member from St. Andrew Northwest, not just road to recovery. So that each other in the house. Andrew Central.
Speaker. Mr. Prime Minister, I welcome your commitment and I'm encouraged by your presentation. But I have significant challenges understanding the fiscal space. So I'm asking you, in light of your administration quest to pay the debt to GDP, of which you would have paid $14 billion by the end of August, whether or not you would consider spending that so you can create the cap space to do some of the things that you did. Second thing is, you mentioned about fast-tracking the other 50% of the island. That was not severely impacted. But infrastructure needs to be fast-tracked. And whether or not you will make funds available to fast-track the infrastructure that is required to sort of energize economic growth. And the final question is, as it relates to the Sandy Gully to which you mentioned in your presentation, the people of Kashapa are complaining bitterly about their property being compromised. Whether or not there will be any allocation to allow urgent repairs to the Sandy Gully. We share that gully, Minister, and you know the condition. So I'm asking you whether or not those funds will be redirected in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, member.
Sandy Gully is a big problem.
Next up is the member from St. Thomas Eastern.
I like your question asked about the economy and the infrastructure. Yeah, solid. All of those questions are solid questions. And I guess we'll have to wait and see how the Prime Minister responds. But I hope he's taking notes. I see him writing down some stuff and a lot to consider.
I rise to ask a question in relation to two communities in Eastern St. Thomas. The Bath community, Prime Minister, the Bath community is surrounded by two rivers, the Island River and the Plantain Garden River. Now, when there's rainfall or the threat of a hurricane, as you have noticed the last time, the banks of the river overflowed and threatened at least 2,000 houses in the Bath community. Also in the Bamboo River community, it is the same situation. The PGR River also affects the Bath community, and the Plantain Garden, as I said, affects both communities. There are a lot of structural damages there in terms of flooding. Last week, Sunday, I was in the community, Prime Minister, and I saw where persons had to be following the sun, their mattresses. Little children have to be sleeping on the floor. My question to you, sir, in terms of controlling those rivers, river training, what can these communities expect in terms of of river training, river growing. The Rowlandsfield community as well, Madam Speaker, Prime Minister, the Rowlandsfield communities in the hills. And we got a lot of breeze in Eastern St. Thomas, although we are not as badly affected as the West. You know, we always suffer the brunt when there is an impending hurricane. I am very thankful that this time we did not get such a battering. So I'm asking, in those areas where at least 30 houses were destroyed in the hills of Rowlandsfield, what I'd like to ask, some semblance of trust, I'm asking to come back to our agencies. Just last week, persons were asking, where should they go to get registered? And I directed them to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And they were saying, my God, again, because they remembered Hurricane Beryl when they suffered the same fate with no sort of compensation. So I want that trust and confidence to come back to that ministry and that department so that people can be confident enough to know that their welfare will be looked about. Thank you.
I wait for this make that ring to get up. That's a valid point, you know, that's a valid point and a valid question. Because if last year them don't get no help, look on this one, Mackenzie. Eh? Quiet like a lamb.
Thank you.
Quiet like
Thank you, member.
Lamb.
The member from St. Catharines South.
St. Mary Central.
Oh, sorry, that's new. Member from St. Mary's Central. And then last of all will be the member from St. Catharines Southeast. Oh, you turned your mic on now.
Thank you.
No, we are going to suspend the sitting at 7:20 to be able to continue. House leader will move. So if you have to ask your question at that time, we will suspend then. We have no, not for 7:20. We did.
Designate a contribution to St. Mary High.
Last of all will be the member from St. Catharines Southeast, and last of all will be. No, we are going to. If you ask your question at that time, we will suspend. So we can. If we're going to sit beyond 7.
Prime Minister, I know it is a difficult road ahead, and you can count on my support in terms of how we rebuild, provided that all the necessary provisions are put in place to ensure transparency and to ensure accountability. Yes. Right, Madam Speaker, some of what I saw leading up to the storm in terms of just the level of commitment from shelter managers, I feel it is important that we do something to honor the role they play as volunteers, and I hope you'll consider, we are looking at what we can do in Central St. Mary to honor their work, and I hope we can consider something as a government. The other side of crisis, as you mentioned, Prime Minister, is opportunity, and a lot of great cities across the globe were built out of crisis, Chicago and the Chicago fire, for example. I want to know what mechanisms are being put in place to ensure that the landowners, the people in these areas that have been devastated, that they're not left behind when we go in to develop, and that prosperity is not only experienced by one set of people in these areas. Madam Speaker, even though Central St. Mary was spared the brunt of the...
Yo, that question is a banger. This man is about development, however, he's saying we need to make sure that the persons that are landowners benefit significantly as well. I love it. I love it. Let me play that back. That deserves a playback. That question deserves a playback.
Across the globe were built out of crisis, Chicago and the Chicago fire, for example. I want to know what mechanisms are being put in place to ensure that the landowners, the people in these areas that have been devastated, that they're not left behind when we go in to develop, and that prosperity is not only experienced by one set of people in these areas. Madam Speaker, even though Central St. Mary was spared the brunt of the disaster, there are still many areas that were affected. Albion Mountain being one. In January, Mr. Prime Minister, when you toured the constituency, we showed you a fording leading to Marlborough, which half of the road pretty much was compromised. That area has been further compromised, and it creates significant difficulty in terms of passing. In fact, last year, November, a taxi driver, while trying to navigate, his vehicle was washed away and he passed away. He perished in the rain. So I'm hoping that as we look at the areas that are priority, that consideration will be given to areas, to St. Mary, the areas in the country that also were vulnerable prior to the storm and where the vulnerabilities have been exacerbated. Prime Minister, I know that Starlink devices have been deployed to the vulnerable areas, and I commend that. But in St. Mary and in many other parishes and constituencies, we are also cut off from communication with the capital. In fact, I found out that we had Parliament today because I drove into Kingston yesterday to check on my house in Kingston, having been in my house in Islington for the last 2 weeks preparing for the storm. And so I know people, MPs in Portland and in St. Thomas and in other parts of St. Mary might have a similar challenge. I hope consideration will be given to equipping all so that we can communicate equally with the capital. Yes, in terms of...
Another good question. And also somehow, I did not know that Islington was cut off from communication as well. Those areas didn't get badly hit, but as you can see, are here, you know, communication is also gone. We have been focusing so heavily on St. James and Westmoreland and Trelawney and St. Elizabeth and all of these places with good reason, but also we have been neglecting the other spaces, not understanding these realities that are being expressed to us right now, which is, I think, we're privileged to be hearing. You understand? Because now we have an opportunity to get it right.
The Support Jamaica platform, Prime Minister, in a time of crisis such as this, I don't think we should create a mechanism that may cause some people to feel that they need to avoid. I'll give an example. Many people have strong connections to schools and communities, and that's where they identify. So I want to know whether the Support Jamaica platform will allow people to indicate where they want their contribution to go. So if a man wants to designate a contribution to St. Mary High School, for example, can he log on to the platform and indicate that that is where he wants his support to go?
Another banging question right there.
The final thing, Mr. Prime Minister, and yeah, man, no, we're not talking about, but Mr. Prime Minister, the bridge from Marlborough, the bridge that connects Albion Mountain with Port Maria being cut off, I'm wondering whether there's any update on when, because a number of roadways and bridges have been compromised because of the hurricane, and I'm wondering whether any consideration will be given to fast tracking, just providing support and repairs to those. Thanks.
Thank you, member. Member from
St. Mary.
St. Catherine. Southeast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, thank you for that presentation. I have just 3 questions. One, can you confirm that 6 field hospitals were donated to Jamaica during COVID recently? Can you confirm the status? 6 field hospitals were donated to Jamaica or built by the government. This was just a few years ago. Can you comment on the status of these hospitals, if they, including the 3 from U.S. Southern Command, which are completely mobile, are up, disassembled, destroyed, or returned? And if we have field hospitals in Jamaica now, why aren't we deploying them immediately to the disaster areas rather than waiting for a shipment from Spain? Thanks.
Wow. I see, this is why I came on here now. I never knew this question was asked. Dr. Alfred Dawes with the dagger. Wait a minute. I really want to hear the answer to that question. That is, wow. 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 Let me hear that again. This is, wow.
Member from...
I'm going to play that in slow motion. I'm playing that normal. I want to hear that all the way. I want it to digest real good.
St. Catherine,
Southeast.
Southeast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, thank you for that presentation. I have just 3 questions. One, can you confirm that 6 field hospitals were donated to Jamaica during COVID recently? Can you confirm the status? 6 field hospitals were donated to Jamaica or built by the government. This was just a few years ago, can you comment on the status of these hospitals, if they, including the 3 from U.S. Southern Command, which are completely mobile, are up, disassembled, destroyed, or returned? And if we have field hospitals in Jamaica now, why aren't we deploying them immediately to the disaster areas rather than waiting for a shipment from Spain? Thanks.
Thanks, Member.
I'm not even going to go any further because Darian please going to get up and start. See her there? First one to get up. Ma'am, you are charged. You shouldn't even be in the parliament. You are a walking disgrace. You need to go and sit down somewhere. I can't even blame you because even your prime minister. Oh, Lawton Cousins asked a question. I didn't know.
Prime Minister, I want you to start with this question first when you answer, because I know you have a lot of questions to answer. In terms of the allocation for housing, because I don't hear anybody ask about it, what agency is it going to be implemented through? Because we know in this house, if it goes through the Ministry of Housing, it normally takes a very long time. Given the urgency of the situation, I am asking you, Prime Minister, to consider perhaps the CDF as the implementation agency for this particular. So the question is, certainly, but I'm saying, Prime Minister, the question is, you determine which agency. The other question is in terms of the debris that is in the towns. I know the clearing activities are taking place. Most of the debris are not being carted away. But based on the nature of the debris, I suspect you may need to
I am on the live,
identify a piece of land owned by the government in close proximity to the affected area so that these debris can be carted off.
Say that again. Which light? Why don't want to make me go check in because that would mean that my prayer was answered. I doubt it still. I don't see any street light on. Also, I don't see any street light on. Well, that is an anomaly. Thank God for that. No, mommy, is the light from the bat is glowing on it. Huh? Which one? Emergency, we are suffering around here.
This particular location. So the question is, Prime Minister, are you taking that into consideration? Thank you very much.
May I last one? I'm the last one.
Yep, it's now
North Central.
North Central. Catherine?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, I heard you mention the plan to deploy social workers. But I would like to know whether or not there is consideration for the deployment of mental health specialists, counselors, and persons who are trained in navigating in the spaces with our elderly and our children must be suffering from some post-traumatic stress resulting from the horrors of this hurricane. I wouldn't want us to take it lightly, Prime Minister, because it is going to affect persons who have lost everything that they have worked all their lives for, and children who would have witnessed people dying before their eyes, their homes being washed away, and the kind of dislocation that they're experiencing at this time. So in addition to the social workers, I would ask if you would consider that a cadre of mental health specialists be deployed as well.
The member from St. Andrew. Members, please. The member from St. Andrew.
The mental health suggestion is an excellent one. Who was that a while ago? Who asked that question? Oh, Natalie Nita Garvey. Excellent. Excellent question.
The member from St. Andrew. Members, please. The member from St. Andrew West.
Yeah.
Member, go ahead, member. Member.
Prime Minister. Prime Minister, when
members, please allow the member from St. Andrew West to ask his question.
When
you know, this is the thing. Honestly, who are these people laughing at a moment like this? This is the stuff that pisses me off, you know, and I don't care who it is. If it's somebody on the PNP side sharing a giggle and a laughter in a time like this, in such a this is serious. This is serious business.
When might we see the comprehensive drainage plan that has been promised for quite some time? Because as you have...
Yo, brother, hold on there, man. Who are these people that are laughing, brother? Terry Long, Juliet Cuthbert, I be a waste people. What's your name? The side chick, Delroy Williams, James Roberts, all of them are Kiki and a Kaka. Who over this all laugh with them? A Peter Bunting that? And Dwayne, you want to get them act together, brother. Yo, when they get to act together, that them when they sound like one big girl where I laugh. You think yo, them people is a total embarrassment, brother.
Member, go ahead, member. Member.
Prime Minister. Prime Minister, when
members, please.
Yo. Yo. We're Stone Cold Steve Austin there right now. We just want Stone Cold Steve Austin just walk in and everybody will laugh when I giggle and I disrupt a meeting. Then if we just get peelick. Just peelick. Brother, them people are not no discipline, brother. And they don't understand the moment, bro. People are suffer in the, like literally, the man them a
Please allow the member from St. Andrew West to ask his question.
When Prime Minister, when might we see the comprehensive drainage plan that has been promised for quite some time? Because as you have quite rightly pointed out, with the frequency and intensity of hurricanes, it is desperately needed. A national plan is desperately needed. I don't need to advise you that the situation in where we have three rivers, in the Duene River, the Rio Cobre River, and the Freshwater River, all three converge in and around River and Duene and the Duene Park area, are impacting these areas quite significantly. The drainage plan, I think, is an urgent matter, and we'd like to hear an update from you as to when are we likely to see this plan.
guys, I left it right there, so. Andrew on his part of his speech and my answer. I forget to that next time. I want to thank everybody that came through. I don't know what the like button did to you guys. Maybe y'all are asleep. You know, maybe y'all sleeping. Hey, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. You might be sleeping. If you are, when you watch the replay, big up on yourself. Please remember, or whatever, you know. Just remember to hit the like button and share it for me. See y'all later. The PNP did a great job with their questions and really highlighting some significant concerns where the people are suffering and experiencing real sufferation right now and need aid. God bless you all. Stay prayed up, stay safe. Word is love, and God is the only answer for Jamaica. Be prepared for worse to come. That's my time. See y'all later.